For the next 3 hours, get ready for all the excitement, the action, the competition of the greatest motorcycle spectacle on Earth.
From Daytona Beach, Florida, the USA Network and Motor Week Productions present the 1985 Daytona Motorcycle Classic. Brought to you by Honda. Follow the lead.
Those bikes bear remarkable similarity to these bikes, the Daytona 200 racing machines. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. In every form of motorcycle competition, Daytona represents the ultimate victory, be it the Alligator Enduro, the Supercross, or most certainly in road racing, where the Daytona 200 stands as the ultimate event. This year, in its 44th running, that race sees a major change. The highest performance street motorcycles in the world, for the first time, will race 200 miles at Daytona. Joining me to call the action today is a two-time winner of this race and one of the sport's most colorful characters, Dale Singleton. This is going to be some kind of weekend.
What a weekend it'll be, Dave. You know, the word Daytona in every racer's mind is nothing less than a treasure. It's where the teams, the riders, sponsors, everybody, they're pouring it on the table, laying it on the line here at Daytona to try to fulfill that dream. You know, the ultimate goal in every racer's mind is to, you know, win here at Daytona. The new format, the Superbikes, that's very controversial. Can the bikes go the distance? The tire war is back as a major development this year. I think we're going to see what is developing into the most interesting 200 in history.
A lot of questions to be answered in the next 3 hours. Let's start finding those answers right now. Ken Squire is standing by in the STP Pit Communication Center.
For the last 3 years, Honda has dominated Superbike racing. This year, the major challenge to the Honda juggernaut comes from Yamaha, a team that hasn't lost the Daytona 200 as a Formula One race since '72. The change to Superbikes for the 200 has sent Yamaha from the front of the pack to the back and forced the company to start a relatively untested racer, a machine that Yamaha team manager Ken Clark says didn't even exist just a few weeks ago.
60 days ago, we made the decision to come here, and the testing department's building the motorcycles, and this is just really a test for us. We've never raced them anywhere. We've never run them very hard, and frankly, we're very pleased that we just got as far as we've got.
Clark has good reason to be pleased. 3 of the new bikes qualified for the 200 in the top dozen starting positions, led by young Sam McDonald. Last season, McDonald rode Hondas, but this year he has high hopes for his new Yamaha.
I think we can run with most everybody except the 2 factory bikes, which are quite a bit different than anything else out here. You know, until like the 2nd or 3rd race, when we get the program more on the road and everything working a little smoothly, then I think we'll be able to run with just about anybody.
Super Team rider Jimmy Felice will start his Yamaha from the 2nd row. On row 3 is Canada's Ruben McMurder, a late team addition who was more than willing to cast his lot with a new bike.
I have a works Honda that Honda had supplied me with in November, which I was intending fully on racing down here. When I come down, the Yamaha thing come up, and I decided to go for it. I see a lot of potential with the Yamaha, and I was real pleased that Ken Clark gave me the chance to prove myself on it, and I fully intend to.
Win or lose at Daytona, Sam McDonald will campaign the new Yamaha Superbike through the entire 85 season and hopefully beyond.
That's what we're shooting for. This race is just the first race of the year, and although it is one of the biggest race, and it's more important than a lot, the championship's what we're after.
The first step toward wresting a championship from rival Honda, a strong Yamaha showing in this Superbike Daytona 200. Ken Clark would be satisfied with a moral victory.
I don't think we have a chance of beating him. I think we have a chance of scaring the hell out of him, frankly.
We're down to the final race, the major event of Bike Weeks 85 at the Daytona International Speedway. The Superbikes, 80 strong, are ready to roll, led by Freddie Spencer, who's trying to do a clean sweep, win all 3. He's won 2. Can he win the 3rd? We'll know shortly. Now let's take a look at the starting lineup. The man of the hour, Louisiana's great Freddie Spencer, is on the pole. This is the race that's always jinxed him, the 200. He's been a runner-up but never won it. In Superbike competition, however, he's won 4 times, the last 4 times, here at Daytona. Starting beside him will be Fred Merkel, the national Superbike champion, winner of 10 of 12 events last year. Then next will come the big surprise, 19-year-old Texas rider Kevin Schwantz. Number 9 is Wes Cooley from Ramona, California, twice national Superbike champion. And then a major surprise, Sam McDonald putting a Yamaha up in the front row as we prepare for the start. The 1-minute sign is over. Here's Dave Despain.
The 44th running of the Daytona 200 is underway. Down pit road they thunder. Into the lead goes Fred Merkel, the reigning national Superbike champion. He has Sam McDonald in tow as the first wave streamed through turn 1 and through the infield for the first of 57 laps. Back on pit road, the second wave is away, 30 riders strong. And now, slowing down, Merkel has fallen into the pack. Wes Cooley, number 9, takes the lead. Number 2, McDonald is second. Freddie Spencer back in about 5th or 6th spot. Again, not a very good start for Freddie Spencer.
It seems as though he's having some bad luck getting things started here in the Superbike race in the early going, Dave, but I'm sure he's got room to make up for that.
That's a long race, a 200-mile grind, longer than ever in the history of Superbike racing at Daytona International Speedway. And the man who has taken the early advantage is the 2-time national Superbike champ, Wes Cooley. Here's the pack pouring in there, 3 and 4 abreast as they battle for positions here on lap number 1. Cooley, knee out. Freddie Spencer style looking good as he heads up onto the banking for the first time. The Superbikes at Daytona will run around 160 miles an hour. Dale, can you tell the difference between 160 on a Superbike and 180 on a Formula One bike?
I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, Dave. You know, just 20 miles an hour at that high rated speed is something that really it's hard for the riders to touch on. As far as the stability and the handling of the bike, there's really not that much difference to clarify significance.
Cooley preparing to dip into that backstretch chicane. Freddie Spencer is moving up. He's up into 3rd spot. Tricky corner, Dale.
The chicane is very tricky, Dave. I don't really see Wes Cooley having any problem with that. He works the chicane really well. And what really impresses me is the fact that Wes has laid such a strong foundation here in the early going. I can never remember seeing a rider pacing himself for a 200-miler pull out this kind of a lead this early.
He's going at it like it was a 100-yard dash instead of a 200-mile enduro here at Daytona as he pulls out a big early lead down the front straightaway with a very familiar number. Number 9, Gary Nixon, won a couple of Daytona 200s many years ago with that number. He won the national championship. Now he's Wes Cooley's team manager of the Daytona Super Team. We'll be talking a little more about later on. Cooley into the infield, new section of the course, left, right, back to the left. Spencer has moved up to 2nd spot. Freddie Spencer is after the lead at Daytona. Jim Felice has got a good run going. He's moved up to 4th. Well, Cooley feels footsteps coming, Dale.
I think he already feels the sensation of Freddie making the charge from behind. He knows where Spencer will be making that charge, and I think that's one of the reasons that Cooley has staged such a hard run here in the early going.
He's definitely gone to the front in a hurry, but Spencer shaking loose of traffic and wanting to win 3 at Daytona this weekend. Broken from the pack is now 2nd and closing in on this man, Wes Cooley, the veteran road racer from Ramona, California, who's always been something of a specialist in the Superbike division. He's one of the riders who is very pleased about the change in the race format, bringing the so-called street bikes, the Superbikes, to Daytona. A short race today for the national champion in the Superbike division. Winner of 10 main events last year, Fred Merkel, has blown up early and he's out of the event. Backstretch, battle for the lead, into the chicane. Cooley with Spencer hot on his heels. Freddie's going after him, Dale.
Freddie is making a tremendous charge coming from as far back as he did after a little bit of a slow start. Let's see what happens in the draft.
All right, Spencer moving up high by the wall. He told us all early on that's the place to be. He's got power on the number 9 machine as he just whips around Wes Cooley and takes over the advantage. Cooley now will try to use the draft to keep Freddie Spencer in tow, hang on and keep that deficit at the minimum. Looks like Freddie Spencer definitely has a stronger motorcycle. Cooley tries to come back up the outside.
Both of these riders will be working the infield. Now, Dave, if you'll pay close attention to their knee, it's almost like a third hand for the motorcycle road racers. They actually bend the bike into the corner, plot that knee down on the tarmac so they can kind of feel their way through and exactly know what their lean angle is at all times.
They actually drag the knee on the pavement.
They touch it down, and as you can see in the pit area earlier, when I went over to speak to Freddie, he was duct taping his knees up in preparation for the race.
Beautiful style. The 1983 world champion, Freddie Spencer, who lost that crown last year due to injury, And he is something to watch. Notice how Freddie uses every inch of the racetrack. If he misses the line by a width of a wheel, he'll be off on the grass and on the ground. We'll follow more of Freddie Spencer's quest at Daytona right after this. In the world's premier motorcycle race, Freddie Spencer, number 19, the 23-year-old pride of Shreveport, Louisiana, is underway in the early laps, taking the lead en route to what he hopes will be an unprecedented third victory. Sneaks a quick look back, and there's nobody there. Wes Cooley has fallen downfield. Oh, now Spencer looking back again. Has he got a problem, Dale?
It looks as though he was looking down at the tire, Dave. It could be a tire problem at this point. He's waving in. I think the bike is losing power. We'll have to get a pit story on that to see exactly what's happening.
Spencer definitely has a problem. He's signaling following riders to let them get by. There goes the leader, Cooley. That will drop Spencer into second spot, but this is worse than that. It is definitely a problem for Freddie Spencer. Unbelievable. He has been plagued in this Daytona 200 since 1980 when he came here for the first time and broke a crankshaft just 6 laps from victory. Undoubtedly the greatest road racer active in the world today. Freddie Spencer in trouble. Wes Cooley on the backstretch has been handed a huge lead here in the Daytona 200. Cooley down into the chicane, and he's got to be tickled to see Freddie fall by the wayside.
That was such a tough break for Freddie, but I bet Wes Cooley's smiling under that helmet right now as he takes to the chicane. And you know, he's pulled out quite a margin here over the third place rider in an attempt to run down Freddie.
As they work their way around, Spencer trying to limp into the pits. Meanwhile, Cooley is singing a song up high on the banking. Bear in mind that this young man has had more than his fair share of bad luck at Daytona. The jinx label applies to him, too. Here is Spencer. The bike is still running, Dale. Is there any way in the world to know what might have happened to it?
There's just so many things, Dave, that could have gone wrong. Maybe Freddie felt a partial seizure somewhere in the engine. It could have just simply oiled up a couple of plugs, or maybe Freddie speculates that he's got a major enough tire problem to come around and have the technicians look at it for safety's benefit.
Oh, but he looked down like that. The first inclination would be to think tire, perhaps only because he's had so much tire trouble at Daytona over the last 3 years. He is on pit road. Freddie Spencer bogged a little off the start, moved up, took the lead from Cooley. Then suddenly a problem. He's coming into pit road. The bike seems to be running fairly strong, heading down toward the Honda pits where Irv Kanemoto, his mechanic, is waiting. Bob Barsha is standing by.
Dave, I can't think that they know what's wrong with the bike. Irv Kanemoto, the team manager, is talking with Freddie Spencer. They're looking at the bike, but nobody is putting a tool to it, and I'm just not sure they know what the problem is.
A mystery problem for Freddie Spencer. They had a tire standing by. That's obviously not the difficulty. The entire situation a little reminiscent of Kenny Roberts a couple of years ago. He thought he had a tire problem early, came into the pits. They said, Kenny, the tire's fine. He went back out and won the race. Spencer stuck in the pits. He's ready to go. He's looking back for a final word of instruction. Says, hey, I'm going to get back out there, guys. Let's go back to Bob Barsha in the pits.
What's the problem with the bike?
Not sure. He just said that he thought there's something wrong with the motor.
Is it something he heard, something grinding, or what was the problem?
He lost a little power.
All right, it's apparently engine related, however?
Right, it seems like that now.
Okay, that's the story from Freddie Spencer's pit. Apparently he hears something wrong with the engine that's causing him to lose horsepower.
Irv Kanemoto, Freddie Spencer's masterful mechanic and crew chief, obviously puzzled by this. If anybody can figure it out, I think it'd be Irv, Dale.
I'd vote for that, Dave. You know, Irv had a stunned look on his face when Bob Barsha came with him at the question of what's wrong with the motorcycle. I think Irv at this point is even a little bit surprised himself, hoping that motorcycle would go out there, I guess, and do some magic and heal itself.
Well, Spencer's got it. Oh, crash. Gary Horton is down. Rider number 26 out of Edwardsburg, Michigan. Down on the course. He's moving around. The safety personnel and medical crews there with him. The first casualty of this Daytona 200 brings out the ambulance flag as the leader comes by. This is Wes Cooley, who started strong and has now inherited the lead. Currently running about 10 seconds ahead of the second place man. That at the moment is Jeff Haney, but we've got a good battle shaping up for second spot. And here is that battle. It is Haney number 15 who holds on to the position, but he is challenged by an army. Look at this throng, all racing for second spot. Sam McDonald is there, Reuben McMurder number 3, John Betancourt number 8, Ron Haslam, the British star, is in there. along with Pat Hernan, John Ashmead, Roberto Pietri. That's a real dogfight, Dale.
Well, they're really going at it, Dave. You know, this early in a 200-mile race like this, you don't expect to see this kind of pace, but here's a group of guys on the new exotic Superbikes that you buy right off the floor. These guys are doing a spectacular job. Each bike is working well, and it's performing, I think, to the ultimate on the bank.
Here is Haney, number 15. He's got that second spot for the moment from Ruben McMurder, who's riding a factory Yamaha against all the Hondas here. That's your immediate battle for second spot. But behind them, you've got 6 more guys all going for that position. Up onto the high banks, Jeff Haney, the second place man. He's a former dirt tracker. He's riding a privately entered Honda here today, and having his best run in a long, long time on a road race course. In fact, I guess his best run ever in road race competition. Haney from Seaside, California. Takes him down the backstretch. Speeds here, Dale, 160 miles an hour.
They're trying to use the draft. I know that Haney's bike looked like, Dave, he was pulling out a margin down the back straightaway, so I think he's got a stronger motor than some of the guys that's running for second place here through the chicane. Notice all the guys are concentrating on the same line, running within a foot of each other, hurtling back around and climbing onto the bank.
Problem here, Dale, for Sam McDonald, the factory Yamaha entry who was in that battle for second. He's blown up and fallen out of the race. Here is Freddie Spencer, and he's overlapping Dave Aldana, one of the legends of American motorsports, including road racing. Almost won the Daytona 200 once. He falls a lap down early to Freddie Spencer, and now a crash. Another big crash, and this is right in the middle of that second place battle. Scott Gary is down, and at least 2 other riders are also involved. Here is Pat Hernan, number 11, who was racing for that second spot, and I believe Roberto Pietri is also involved. He's on machine number 4. 2 of these riders were running in that second place battle. They have apparently tangled with Scott Gary, and they've all crashed. The leader, Wes Cooley, is in the chicane. A former medical student from Southern California, leading the biggest race of his life, the Daytona 200. In this inaugural running of the Daytona 200 as a Superbike event, 2-time national Superbike champion Wes Cooley, number 9, is out front. We talked so much about Freddie Spencer and his jinx in this program, but this guy has never had any luck in the Daytona 200, never been in the top 5. But he's won the Superbike race at Daytona back when it was a preliminary to the 200. And right now, he's in command by some 15 seconds in this 44th running of this great race. Meanwhile, Freddie Spencer is roaring through traffic. Spencer came out of the pits in 49th place, a minute and a half behind the leaders. But with moves like this, Spencer is carving through traffic. He's up into the top 20. Dale, that's dangerous.
That's a useful trait of Freddie Spencer right there, working his way through the traffic, carving. He's flying like a shark through sardines, Dave. Working the traffic is a key here at Daytona, especially starting the 80-rider field that they do.
Roberto Pietri regrouping after that crash of a few minutes ago. The next fish to be gobbled up here by Freddie Spencer as he tries to make a comeback, and that motorcycle appears to be strong after his early problem that put Freddie Spencer on pit road. Here is the surprise second place story. Number 15, Jeff Haney, was a Honda factory dirt track rider, helped develop their bike into a competitive machine. As soon as the bike was fast enough, they hired a couple of top-name pros to ride it. Haney was out of a job, so he focused on road racing, and here he is in second place in the 200. Now, 2-time winner Dale Singleton, this was my moment of great glory in my ride with Freddie Spencer around this track. I find it very difficult to throw that bike back and forth like that.
That's the reason that the guys are using their weight right here, Dave. Watch him go in hard on the brakes. He's going to lean over and put as much of his weight on the inside of the bike, both to steer the motorcycle around the corner and to get the most amount of tire patch on the ground for the most adhesion. Down the straightaway, they tuck in, get out of the wind, try to increase that top speed just by a couple of miles an hour, leaning in again, using that knee as a third hand, so to speak, to feel the tarmac. Going through the corners, he's working the infield beautifully, Dave. This guy has a tremendously good style.
He looks a lot like me when I was out there, don't you think?
Well, I don't know if I would comment on that or not, Dave. Are you going back in competition, by the way?
After the race, I want to talk to you about that. I want you and I to get together and ride this race double next year. I think that'd be a new dimension to the competition. This is Jeff Haney. He's in second. He's doing a number out there this afternoon. And here is your third place man. Ron Haslam, the British Grand Prix star, has moved up into 3rd position. You've raced against him, Dale.
Yeah, we were over in Europe quite a bit at several events, especially the Transatlantic Trophy Series, in which Haslam was on the British team. He's a very, very aggressive rider, always one to be reckoned with on the European circuits. Haslam is making a good show here in the Daytona run today.
He finished 3rd in this race a year ago when it was a formula race. Doesn't have a lot of Superbike experience, but Haslam has himself in 3rd spot, and for the moment appears to be fairly secure in that position. You're watching 160-mile-an-hour speed from what is basically a street motorcycle. Meanwhile, Haney, number 15, is broken away from that second-place battle. That crash tended to stir the pot a little bit there. And here's a good race going on for 5th and 6th spot. 5th spot currently the property of John Ashmead, a newcomer. He's from West Palm Beach, Florida. And right behind him, another veteran, old friend of yours, Johnny Betancourt.
Johnny B, he's looking very aggressive here this afternoon, just kind of taking it easy, riding his usual conservative style, Dave. I think that Betancourt will try toward the end of the race to try to make some more serious threats to Ashmead.
Interesting contrast, Ashmead, the newcomer, 17th ranked in the Superbike national standings last year. Betancourt been around this game a long time, comes from a motorcycling family up in Massachusetts. He spent most of last year hurt after a 3rd place finish in the Superbike race at Daytona. That is 5th and 6th place on the front straightaway. Looks like Betancourt's got to move up the outside.
That was a good move from Johnny B. He utilized the draft, Dave, all the way up to just 12 inches from the rear tire, and that's something that riders really have to be careful with at Daytona, using that draft, running in as close as they possibly can to each other before breaking over.
This is scary stuff, racing at this kind of speed. I asked the pre-race favorite Freddie Spencer if he ever feels fear.
I approach it from the standpoint of that I try to prepare it as much as I can to prevent something from happening. You know, somebody once said that if you think about it, you know, you shouldn't be out there, I guess. But I feel that if you don't think about it, you shouldn't be out there.
Fearless Freddie Spencer is gaining at the incredible rate of 6 seconds per lap. He is all the way back inside the top 10. One of the most brilliant performances in the history of the Daytona 200.
Wes Cooley's lead rapidly diminishing as Freddie Spencer puts the charge on here at Daytona. More of the action shortly.
The first of 2 scheduled pit stops approaching for the front runners in the Daytona Superbike 200. That includes the leader, Wes Cooley, a Superbike pioneer. He's never had much luck in the 200, but in Superbike racing, he came here back in the days when Superbikes made a lot of horsepower but didn't handle very well. They'd shake the front wheel and vibrate horribly on the front straightaway. Cooley won that race once, finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The 2nd place machine is on pit road. Jeff Haney has come to the pits, and they'll refuel his Honda Superbike, checking that tire. That's always important, Dave.
Yeah, that's the first thing those pit crews go for, especially in the Superbike format here, because the tire situation here, 200 miles on the Superbike is an unproven track record. Everything seemed to be up at par. A beautiful pit stop. The mechanics working in harmony. They've got him back on the track. Jeff Haney is making a good mark here.
Meanwhile, in the chicane, Wes Cooley building his lead, moving up into stock car territory, the high banks. Dale Singleton, you're driving stock cars now. Which is more physical, the bikes or the cars?
It's definitely the motorcycles, Dave. I was down at AIR just a couple of weeks ago driving stock cars, and you can take those things out, seems like from 8 to 5 compared to what you do on a motorcycle. So much more physically demanding on the bike. Use the full weight of your body to steer the thing around, and it's definitely more physical demanding, especially under those hot leathers. It looks as though the leader's on pit road now.
The leader is on pit road. Wes Cooley flashing down at tremendous speed, Dale.
That's unreal. You know, that is really obvious when an experienced rider racing down pit road like that. That was beautiful lines coming in. Wes Cooley came in at full racing speed. The team working the bike in total harmony, checking the tire, refueling. They're probably going to take on about 6 gallons of fuel, Dave, and he's back on the track. Fantastic pit stop for Wes Cooley.
Quicker than the stop of the 2nd place man, Jeff Haney. That should increase Wes Cooley's lead here in the Daytona 200 as the leader has been in and out of the pits. As Cooley completes his respite on pit road, here comes Freddie Spencer. Spencer has worked his way up to 3rd. He must now make a routine pit stop. Let's go to Bob Barsha.
Dave, Freddie Spencer's crew is ready with a fresh rear tire and with gasoline. They're looking the bike over, but, well, there goes the tire. It doesn't look like they're going to change on this stop. It'll be all gasoline. Nobody looking at the engine. Everything seems to be very healthy with Freddie Spencer's bike right now. There goes the gas, and they're going to send him back out.
Still in third place, Freddie exiting the pits. Oh, the engine died. They had to push him away to get the restart and get him back on the racetrack. Spencer in good shape as he tries to run down the race leader, Wes Cooley. Cooley is a member of the Daytona Super Team that's having quite a day here today. He's led for most of the distance, but now Spencer is on his tail. In second spot, number 15, Jeff Haney on a privateer Honda. And here comes the new challenger. Jim Felice has moved up into third spot. He is a Super Team teammate of Wes Cooley. And on his box stock Yamaha, this protege of Kenny Roberts has a different strategy. He's going to try to run the race with only one pit stop. If he can do it, he may be in for a top 5 finish. The risk, of course, is that he may run out of gas. The Super Team at Daytona. It's been a headline story all week long. The question, Bob Barsha, what's a Super Team?
Meet the 1985 Daytona Super Team, an international gathering of motorcycle racing talent whose experiences range from European road racing to American dirt tracks. At 5 members, it's the largest team to race Daytona under a single banner in more than 15 years. The man responsible for putting together this incredible armada of machines and racing talent is Tom Tucker. Tom, the obvious question, why put together this army?
This is the biggest motorcycle race in the world, Bob, and we want to go out there and win us some money. The name of the game in racing is put together the best riders and the best machinery that you can put together and assemble, which we think we've done. And this is the richest motorcycle race in the world, so that's why we're all here. Quite frankly, we're racing for money, and that's what the name of the game is.
The Super Team is 4 Yanks and an Englishman, but it also crosses other lines. 3 ride Hondas, while 2 race the new Yamaha Superbike. Elder statesman of the group is Gary Scott of Springfield, Ohio, a former national champion on dirt, making a return to the Superbikes. Ron Haslam of Great Britain brings European Grand Prix experience to his 4th Daytona appearance. An interesting recruit is Lance Jones of Gadsden, Alabama. Known primarily as a dirt track racer, Jones sees his first Daytona 200 ride as an opportunity.
They seen potential on the mile tracks, and they're giving me a shot, so shoot, I'm going to go for it.
There are no solid plans for the team beyond Daytona, but there's no doubt that this is a true team. Just listen to the group's most accomplished member, former national Superbike champ, Wes Cooley.
Well, I think it doesn't really necessarily help Wes Cooley. I think what it does is help the sport. We have more interest now. You come up, the Spectre will come out, and if they have the Super Team like we are right now, is that the people are more identifiable with that. They can say, God, there's the Super Team, and they can look at Wes Cooley, they can look at Ron Haslam, Jimmy Felice, Gary Scott, all of us, and they can identify that with a little bit more. Also, I think the fact is that when you have a team effort like this, it's better for the sponsors. In other words, it's not just a one-shot deal. I could fall off in the first lap, and then there goes the whole week, as compared to, saying, having 4 or 5 entrants in there and playing the odds and seeing, well, are all 5 of them going to finish, or is just 1 or 2, and going from there. And I think that helps out the sport in general, not necessarily one individual at all.
But for young Jimmy Felice, the team concept can help a rider's career.
It opens the right doors for me to be around people like Tom Tucker and Ron Haslam and Wes Cooley. They really, to be in a team like this is just definitely an advantage for me to open the right doors.
As it stands now, Tom Tucker's super family of 5 great racers will stay together for just this one event, the Daytona 200. But success here at the 200 could mean we'll be seeing more of the Super Team throughout the '85 season.
Well, we're certainly seeing a good bit of the Super Team here today. They run 1st and 3rd at the moment in the Daytona 200, and the 3rd place man, Jim Felice, is coming on pit road. A lot of people feel that this young man may be the most promising new road racer in America. He's also a doggone good dirt tracker. He was Dirt Track Rookie of the Year a couple of seasons ago. He's at a pivotal point in his career. 3rd place here today could make that career, and he can hang on to it. He's in for what they hope will be the only pit stop of the day for Jim Felice. He's riding a Yamaha that came off the showroom floor of a Daytona Beach motorcycle dealership just a week before the race. Back into the fray goes Jim Felice. Good quick stop. He'll hang on to that 3rd spot for the moment. Spencer is around number 15, taking over the 2nd spot from Jeff Haney. I'll tell you, we're seeing some kind of ride today from fast Freddie Spencer, who's trying to do what has never been done before, win the Formula 1, Formula 2, and Daytona Superbike 200s all in the same season. Let's get an update on the mood in the Freddie Spencer pits now from Bob Barsha.
Dave, you can almost feel the sense of guarded relief in the voice of Freddie Spencer's team manager, Irv Kanemoto. He's a little busy to talk with us right now, but they seem that have no idea what it was that caused that horsepower loss early on, but they think it's just gone away right now. They expect Freddie in about 8 laps for another fuel stop. They hope to learn more right then, but all they know right now is that they seem to have a healthy bike. They're making up ground, and that's the way they like it.
When that second scheduled pit stop for Freddie Spencer comes, it will almost undoubtedly involve a tire change. That's been the biggest bugaboo of all for Fast Freddie in the last few years here. But remember, he has come from 49th spot, a minute and a half behind. It's reminiscent of Johnny Cecotto, the Venezuelan star, 1975. Came from last to finish third. What do you think, Dale? Can he win it from here?
If there's a rider in the world today coming from the back of the grid, Freddie Spencer can do it. He's riding a brilliantly race, charging from the back. There it is, Wes Cooley leading the Daytona 200. Freddie Spencer closing. We'll be back.
At Daytona International Speedway in the world's premier motorcycle race, the leader is Wes Cooley, number 9, but the story is Freddie Spencer. He has come back from an incredible deficit, and now you can see Spencer closing up on Cooley. Number 9 and number 19. Dale, no doubt about it, he's run him down from behind. Can Freddie pass him?
That's something so rare here, Dave, at Daytona, to see a rider come from the back of the grid the way Cecotto done a few years ago, and now Freddie Spencer is back, enabling himself to get into position to take this triple crown here at Daytona this weekend. He's riding remarkable.
Well, he's got to pass Cooley if he's going to take the lead here. He did it once early in the race, and now he has run down Cooley from behind at a breathtaking rate. Wes may or may not know at this juncture that Freddie Spencer is there. What do you think? Does he know he's back there?
Well, probably from his pit communication board, Dave, I would take for granted that Cooley's crew, the super team, has given him pit signals, you know, administered by Gary Nixon, awareing him that Freddie is closing. So I think that for a few laps now that Cooley has been aware that Freddie is running him down.
Well, he is certainly closing it up. Here you see the horsepower comparison of the two. Oh, Spencer's got it all over him. He's going to walk on by on the backstretch. Spencer at 160 miles an hour just blows Cooley's doors off. There's one of the reasons why we saw that 6-second difference in their lap time.
The word is horsepower there, Dave. You saw it, Freddie Spencer gobbled by Wes Cooley on the back straightaway. It's evident he's got a strong motor.
Bob Barsha reports from the pits there are 2 issues for Freddie Spencer. One is an impending tire change.
Second point is his early horsepower problem was apparently created by overheating on the line. As they rev those engines up waiting for the green flag, they feel like they've overcome it now, and they think they've got a healthy bike once again. But there's a tire change coming, and it's going to be an important one.
3 years straight, tire problems have cost Freddie Spencer easy victories in this race. You know he has to have worn out his tire at the pace he's been running here today. Dale, what's it feel like to ride a motorcycle with a worn-out tire?
Well, I tell you, Dave, those bikes are just so apt to slide right out from under you when you get down to the Warren compound. The experience of sliding is the big difficulty.
Another Johnny Cecotto memory comes to mind. The year after his great comeback ride here, Cecotto chose to stay out on a worn-out tire, finished it on the cord, slipping and sliding all over the high banks. That victory launched his motorsports career. Freddie Spencer on a worn tire on the high banks at Daytona, escalating the speed to 160 miles an hour, and it was right down at the end of this backstretch that Kenny Roberts blew a tire at that speed and took one of the wildest rides in history down through the chicane. The leader across the start-finish line. Question 2 about Cooley's tire situation and whether he might choose to change a tire on his upcoming pit stop. Wes into turn 1, and oh, problems for Cooley. Just about got away from him, Dale Singleton. Cooley into that left-hander, got it completely sideways and almost threw it away. Cooley currently running second to Freddie Spencer. I think we want to go back and try to take another look at that, Dale, and see if we can see what happened.
Very evident here of the tire wear factor, Dave. You can see Wes twisting into the throttle, just probably normally the way Wes has done all day long. The tire showing increasing wear and beginning to start to go away.
We'll have to see if he's going to change that tire. We have every reason to believe that Spencer will change tires, and so right now, he is out there running at a bullet-fast pace. He's got to build up enough lead to give him time to come on to pit road, and here he comes. Let's see if Spencer can get the tire changed and be able to get back out on the racetrack and hang on to the lead. Spencer knifing down pit road for a scheduled tire change. The Honda crew say they're ready. Let's go to Bob Barsha.
Freddie Spencer is in the pits, and they are going to change that tire. They've got the bike jacked up. While fuel goes in one end, Spencer is staying on the machine, which is a little unusual for a stop, I think. He has just given the thumbs-up sign to Irv Kanemoto, his crew chief. Apparently that bike is in good shape. All he needs is new rubber and a chance to get back into this race and run down Wes Cooley. There are congratulations all around. It's very upbeat crew here. The attitude is very, very good. A little trouble getting the axle aligned, but the nuts are back on. This is a crew that's worked very hard to reduce the time it takes them to change a tire. They're fastening down the lugs now. It looks like he's ready to go, and Freddie Spencer is out.
Tire change at Daytona on a motorcycle, that's a new record. It's not NASCAR speed, but remember, they don't have to deal with the chain and all the rest of that business. How long did it take to do that when you were racing?
We were racing bikes, Dave, that normally would take up to 3 or 4 minutes to get a rear wheel off the motorcycle and back on over the circuit. But the factories have revised that technology a bit.
Wes Cooley has taken the lead on the Freddie Spencer pit stop. Now the focus is on Cooley and his upcoming stop on pit road. We saw him sliding around. Is he going to change a tire, Dale?
That's where the real strategy comes to play here in this 200-mile race, Dave. I would speculate that Cooley is in for a tire change. You know, you experienced and saw him out there sliding around. Cooley probably will change.
Cooley is on pit road with a decision to make. They'll check that tire, refuel the bike, back to pit road and Bob Barsha.
And here comes our leader, Wes Cooley. He is entering pit road. They're tanking up. They're checking that tire using the temperature gauge. But it looks like it's going to be fuel only. A very, very fast stop. He's back out on the track.
No tire change for Wes Cooley. Is this a Johnny Chicotto-style gamble? You're surprised, Singleton.
I'm really surprised. The tire engineer was there. He looked over the front and the rear tire, and the decision was made to put Wes Cooley back out on the rubber. He's got to try to hang on to the charging Freddie Spencer.
That's going to be tough for Cooley to do as he brings his number 9 back out into the infield. Bear in mind that Freddie Spencer has about 20 more horsepower, as we saw. Here's John Betancourt. Quick check-in with our early 5th place contender. John has gravitated downfield a little bit and is still going to be in the top 10. He's currently running 8th. Here on the backstretch is your leader, Cooley. He's down at least 10, 12 miles an hour, and now he's got an old worn tire while Spencer has a new one. And here comes Freddie Spencer closing in. Dale, this seems inevitable.
Wes Cooley is definitely the one at the deficit at this point. He's on worn tires. Spencer has been in the pit area. Both riders now are sprinting to the checkered flag. Freddie is using the draft. Watch him go high, break the horsepower draft there. Freddie Spencer's got the motor, he's got the rubber, he's charging. Dave, I tell you, it looks like the kid's going to pull them off, all 3 here this afternoon.
The leaders have pulled out all the stops. Spencer in front, Cooley trying desperately to hang on to the draft. Freddie Spencer, who grew up racing mini bikes and go-karts, hanging around his mom and dad's grocery store in Shreveport, Louisiana, is closing in on the only major career goal that has eluded him thus far. The former world champion, youngest man ever to claim that crown, is in the lead. Perhaps the jinx will finally be broken in the Daytona 200. We'll be back to see if Freddie Spencer can finally win the biggest race of his career. Dave Despain with 2-time Daytona 200 winner Dale Singleton, enjoying the 44th running of the world's greatest motorcycle race and a virtuoso performance by number 19 Freddie Spencer. But beyond the story of the man, there is the story of the machine. Superbikes racing 200 miles at Daytona for the first time ever. It's a class that will push the limits of technology. These really are street bikes in a very real sense of the word. Making a tire for these machines that will run an extra 100 miles means better tires for bikes on the street. Engines that can be made to live 100 miles longer will live thousands miles more on the street. Dale, I think in that context, we've got to call this a technical success.
It's definitely a step toward the advancement of the motorcycle street bike technology, Dave. So much has been learned in R&D right here today as Honda is going for their first ever 200-mile Superbike win.
Tell us what you think of the new format. If you like the idea of Superbikes at Daytona, drop us a line at USA Network and let us know. Here is the battle for 5th spot, and it's a good one in the late laps. Number 317, oh, Jim Felice, rear tire chattering. Racing with Ruben McMurder. McMurder on bike number 3. A pair of Yamahas running 5th and 6th. McMurder on a factory bike, Felice the privateer entry, and it's a surprisingly strong showing. Bob Barsha has a report from the pits.
As the battle on the track goes on, I'm in the factory Yamaha team pits with Ken Clark, the team manager. Ken, you got a factory bike out there against a privateer on a fiery Yamaha Superbike. What's your position on this battle? Who do you want to win?
Well, it's not really a factory effort. It's a testing department motorcycle. The two of them are very, very identical. Ruben's, I think, makes a little more horsepower than Jimmy's does, but Jimmy's about 40 pounds lighter than Ruben, and that seems to be having a real effect on the pair of them. They're both going very, very well, and we're both pleased to still be running this long in the race.
You told us a couple of days ago that you'd love, even if you can't beat Honda, you'd love to just scare hell out of them. If you guys come in the top 5 or 6 places, will you have accomplished a goal?
Oh, yeah, we're scaring them right now. I would say that with about another 6 months worth of development work, we'll be the ones leading this thing.
Thank you very much.
That kind of brand rivalry is one of the reasons this race was changed to a 200-mile Superbike race. Ruben McMurder, currently 5th. Cinderella Story came here and inherited Wayne Rainey's factory ride. Rainey broke his collarbone. Felice adding a note of drama to this 200 with his one pit stop strategy. Can he finish? And if so, will he finish in the top 5? McMurder, oh, we've got a rider down. It is Kurt Liebman down in turn 1. That's right where I ran off the course, but I take no joy in seeing Liebman fall. This man's career spans 4 decades. He started back in the 50s. The Yamaha battle back on the straightaway. McMurder beginning to pull away. Dale Singleton. Which is easier to ride, a Superbike or a Formula One machine?
Well, I think the Superbike is now today, Dave. In '75, the last go I had on a Superbike, that thing was pretty primitive. With all the attention and improvements and technology focused towards Superbike now, you can buy a race-ready street version of that bike right off the dealer's showroom.
Rookie Superbike racer Dave Busby, who supplies equipment to the Daytona Super Team, is on pit road.
Dave, what happened with the bike?
Well, like I said before, we lost a little bit of oil out on the back wheel, and we came in and looked at it, and apparently I dropped a valve. The valve seat was gone, and I'm just watching the race, but it's a good race. So 2 of my bikes are in the top 3 right now. Ron Haslam and Wes Cooley are looking really good. And Roberto Pedro ran into some problems, but he's moving his way back up through the pack. And like it says right here, Elmer just got the weight tail willow, and I don't know what to say. I'm jazzed that I'm running 2 of my bikes. The 4 that we qualified are in the top 3, and we're just looking to be in the winner's circle still with the Super Team.
So it's been a bittersweet performance in the Daytona 200 thus far for Dave Busby.
Well, a good weekend for the Super Team here at Daytona. A good weekend for a lot of people. Yamaha has made a strong showing. Honda with this guy, Freddie Spencer, obviously in clear command of the weekend in terms of the factory racing team. Weather's been good. Pretty hard to find very much to complain about here at Cycle Weeks 1985. High against the wall goes Freddie Spencer. The laps are winding down for the 23-year-old former world champion as he moves down looking for that white flag that will be upcoming, indicating just 1 more lap to go of the 57 that make up the race distance here. 200 miles, the longest Superbike race in the world. Here is the early leader. This is Wes Cooley. I think he's got a problem. Cooley looking down at his rear tire. Dale, I think you may have called that one. I'll bet that tire is worn out.
There's no doubt there. He was looking down at the rear tire, Dave, and you know he's got to be experiencing, the very, very tremendously badly worn tire here because Wes Cooley has staying out on the same tire that he started the race with.
Here is Spencer leading handily. Cooley has fallen far downfield, so at this moment, Cooley's strategy is simply to save that rubber, keep himself out of trouble, and hang on to by far his best finish ever in the 200. Freddie Spencer has come home second a couple of times in this race. Both times he had to change, I'll let me recall, I think one year it was 1 tire and the other year it was 2 tires. That's just part of the bad luck that has plagued him. Dale, it looks like Freddie's finally going to break out of the slump, break the jinx here at Daytona. As I said before, I think everybody's got to be happy with this Cycle Week 85.
They should be, Dave. In the early going when Freddie came from so far behind at such a deficit, I thought the shadow of the jinx was back on his shoulders again, but he's doing a tremendous good job. This is Wes Cooley now coming down the back straightaway. He's coming home for second, pointing to the pit area, the pit crewman there seeing him, indicating that the tire is badly worn. So Wes Cooley is going to try his best to lift the tire home, taking extreme measures of caution here on the banking where that tire is definitely at its most prominent factor of blowing.
Well, he could have a problem because he could be caught from behind. Fortunately for Cooley, he's got a pretty healthy margin over the 3rd place man, Jeff Haney. And for Freddie Spencer, he's got a fresh rear tire thanks to a 40-second change by perhaps the finest crew in the business. He's got no problems at all. He's out here for a Sunday cruise. I got to think that for Freddie Spencer, as many miles, as many laps as he's run at this racetrack, and as many times as something bad has happened to him, that he's got to be thinking it's going to come again, Dale.
He's breaking the the jinx here today, Dave. And you know, he's feeling real good right now down that straightaway for the last time. It's the cold chills that you never forget. Right here as Freddie comes from the stripe, and it's the white flag lap. One more to go. This is when Freddie is going to be really sensitive to listening to that motor, to watching traffic, looking at the surface for the least bit of discoloration of the tarmac, indicating where a little water or a little oil has been dropped by one of the bikes. This is really the critical lap. Freddie will be taking an all-out effort to keep that bike in tow for the winning of this race.
3.5 miles from the checkered flag, Freddie Spencer, a couple of minutes away from an accomplishment that he has dreamed of since he was 11 years old and came to Daytona International Speedway as a rank amateur, a wide-eyed kid dreaming of the day when he would win the Daytona 200, dreaming of being world champion. Freddie Spencer, in his 23 years, 17 of which have been spent racing, has done it all. He's won 13 Grand Prix races, 11 Superbike events, won the World Championship, youngest man ever to do it, but he has never won the Daytona 200. He came here in 1985 to do not only that, but to sweep the triple, Formula One, Formula Two, and the race that has always eluded him. Dale, it's a wonderful accomplishment, and he's got to be just glowing inside as he makes that final tour of the backstretch.
I can remember it well, Dave. It's a feeling of cold chills you'll never forget. Down the back straightaway for the last time, and he's going to take it real easy, braking early, leaning over, going into the chicane. That is the greatest feeling, Dave, right there in all of motorsport. When you make that last turn, you know that your chances of, you know, the risk that you take out there is at a bare minimum right now. He just has to ride the motorcycle straight up and down for another 1.5 miles, and he's going to conquer the biggest accomplishment he's always dreamed of, the Daytona 200.
This kid can kick it out of gear and coast home from here, ladies and gentlemen. After an early problem dropped him to 49th place, Freddie Spencer has come charging back. Freddie Spencer has done it. Freddie Spencer has won the Daytona 200 and swept the Daytona Triple. Crowd goes crazy as Spencer acknowledges the cheers of the throngs. Oh, he's got to be so very happy. He's pointed to this day for so long. And look at the thrill for Wes Cooley. He has come home a winner too, breaks his jinx, finishes his best ever at Daytona. We'll be back to meet the winners right after this. A lifetime dream has come true for Freddie Spencer, who represents the pinnacle of professional motorcycle sport. The $1 million contract, the high-intensity, high-speed competition. For Spencer, this is his day. But let's not forget that for Freddie Spencer, for the thousands of competitors who have come here to Daytona, it starts out as fun. It starts out as racing for trophies. As we give Freddie a moment to enjoy his spotlight before we meet him in victory lane, let's tip our helmet to those who come for fun.
A virtuoso performance. Congratulations. You must feel great about yourself.
Yeah, well, it does feel good, especially I didn't know what happened when I got by Wes at the beginning. I was going into the left-hander in the infield, and the engine missed, and it went off of 4 cylinders onto 3 or 2, and I accelerated, and it was running real ragged. And so I looked down, and I looked back to see if it was smoking, because the last thing I wanted to do was drop some oil or anything. So I got off the line and come in the pits and looked, and there didn't seem to be anything wrong with it. It wasn't blowing any oil or anything. So I went back out and started and ran okay. Something must have went through the engine.
Was it simply a technical exercise, or did your heart really drop?
Well, I would say not again, you know, but after that, you know, I went back out, it's really good. I just concentrated on just trying to pick up the pace and just click off as many seconds as I could to try to catch back up and see if I could get in the lead, because I knew that the pace I was running, I would have to change a tire. So it's good that we waited till the second tire, the pit stop.
You realize you've created history here. You have done what no one has ever done in the history of these events in bike weeks at Daytona. You've won three in one weekend. It means a lot to a lot of bike folks around America. What does it mean to Freddie Spencer?
It means more than I could say. There are 3 races I've never won here before, and then I've won them all 3 the same weekend. It's what I'd hoped for, but you never hope too much until it's over with, and now I'll try. I really enjoy it.
One of the great champions, and one who's put his name in the books like no one before, Freddie Spencer.
equally thrilled with his own Daytona achievement. The runner-up is Wes Cooley.
You must be thrilled about this great second-place performance, Wes.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I've been here a lot of times, and this is the first time that I finished second at 200-miler. And anytime you finish Daytona, it's a great feat in itself.
What about finishing second to Freddie Spencer on what has to be his greatest weekend?
Well, what else can you say? He was probably the best road race in the world right now, and it's no shame to finish second to Freddie Spencer.
Did you have any problems with your bike today?
No, not until about 4 laps from the end. It started jumping out of one of the gears, and I just backed her off a little bit, and we had a good lead, and I just let her coast on in.
Congratulations on a fine performance.
Thank you very much.
Good to see Wes Cooley finally make it to victory lane in the 200 after so many years of trying. And how about the man with whom they share victory lane? A great third-place finish here for Jeff Haney with the beard on the left, privateer Honda rider. Cooley's super team teammate Ron Haslam fourth, Ruben McMurder fifth. We'll be back. Early this week, I sat in Freddie Spencer's garage, and he talked about Kenny Roberts. He told me that riders of great accomplishment have the ability to appreciate the accomplishments of others. Dale Singleton, a two-time Daytona winner, your thoughts on what Freddie Spencer has done here this weekend?
Dave, I find words hard to describe. You know, just the whole weekend Freddie has accomplished here. It's just a brilliant performance by the young rider. It was an astounding weekend for him. I mean, he just rode flawlessly in all 3 events. I mean, to come to Daytona, win the 200-miler, the most prestigious race in all the world, and then to back it up with the 2 support events, the big package. I mean, it was brilliantly done, and I think that it's a weekend so successful that it's going to be unmatched for years to come.
In 44 years, nobody has done it. Freddie Spencer has done it all. Now, just a week from Sunday, he sets out to win his 2nd World Championship. The Daytona Motorcycle Classics are history. Daytona's Formula 1 and Formula 2 preliminaries. Then he scored a brilliant comeback from engine trouble to win the Daytona 200 for the first time. And finally, he joined our Ken Squire to review that unprecedented triple.
Over the years, a lot of men have made an impression upon this particular racing facility. In stock car racing, you think of Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty. In the bikes, Roger Riemann, Dick Mann, Kenny Roberts, and for certain now, Freddie Spencer after this incredible weekend. How does it feel to sit up here on top of this Daytona Speedway and know that you are king of all this domain?
Growing up as a kid, Daytona was if you wanted to race, let's say Daytona is the place. And I knew I'd always wanted to win the 200-mile race, and to win all 3 in the same weekend, which is what you know I'd hoped to do, is a dream come true. I guess you could say it's like getting a monkey off your back, so to speak. These are 3 races that I've never won before: the Formula 1 race, and the Lightweight Expert 250, and now the 200-mile race. And so it's just a great start to the season, and it's nice to be considered up there with the great riders who have won here at Daytona, and so it's just nice to be part of that.
Early in the race, there was conjecture along pit road that with the problems the bike was developing as they saw you try to get it back into the pits and do whatever needed to be administered to the bike, that perhaps with the whole World Championship Series facing you off to Europe shortly, that you might just concede this one. Did it ever cross your mind?
Never. I've raced now for 17 years, and I always believe that whenever I go out and I do race, that I give 100%. And so today, after I realized what the problem was and what it could be, something got sucked into the carburetor and just made it misfire, and it was not leaking any oil, and they sent me back out. I would give it a try and try to still win the race, and it paid off.
I'll say it paid off. You won the race from 49th place, almost a minute and a half behind. Let's recall what you said a few minutes ago in Victory Lane about that comeback, about the race with Wes Cooley, and the fact that you were concerned about the tires.
I'm very concerned because being a minute and 20 some seconds behind, I knew that I would really have to push it, and I wasn't sure how soon the tire would go away. So when they come in for the first pit stop, they looked at it, looked fine, they sent me back out. So after that, I went back out, it's really good. I just concentrated on just trying to pick up the pace and just click off as many seconds as I could to try to catch back up and see if I could get in the lead, because I knew that the pace I was running, I would have to change a tire. So it's good that we waited till the second tire, the pit stop.
Let's say roughly somewhere around
30 to 45 seconds, Dave. So he...
When I did catch Wes, I went by him, and I just wanted to try to pull away a second or 2 seconds a lap, and it worked just perfect. So I'm just thankful for the crew. The crew did a very good job, and the bike ran well after that mishap at the beginning.
Freddie, you're at the top of a very difficult game in which fame is fleeting and the big names don't stick around 2 or 3 decades as they do in stock car racing. There's always some young kid coming up through the ranks just eager to knock you off your throne.
That has always been one of my goals, is to try to get up to the top as soon as possible and stay there and do as much as I can and hopefully stay around a few years. But you always are looking over your shoulder, and there is some youngster coming up. But at 23, I'm not exactly over the hill yet, but there's still a lot of things I would like to do in motorcycle racing.
I know it's premature to ask you this, but how does Freddie Spencer want to be remembered?
The best compliment, I think, is, for me, would be the fact that if somebody come up to me and they remember me as the guy who whenever he would go out and ride, never gave up. And that is something that would mean a lot to me, that I always went out and gave it my best, and the fans and people that followed me knew that if it didn't work that day, that it wasn't from lack of effort.
Sunday's win should guarantee that Freddie Spencer will be remembered just as he hopes for finally winning the only major race that has eluded him and scoring an unprecedented Daytona trip.